My name is Nekpe Obasoge, broadcasting live from Toronto, Canada. We are here today to discuss a very important topic that people don't normally discuss about on the media. We are going to explore the law of primogeniture in Africa. The law of primogeniture, according to the definition, dictionary definition, means the first child of the family. However, how do we practice this law of primogeniture in Africa? Most based on the first surviving son of any family. So, what are the privileges of being the first son in a typical African family? That's what we are going to discuss today. How this law of primogeniture in Africa is excluding females in the family. We have a video that I'm going to play. That video is quite long, like 7 minutes. We're going to play the video and just listen to how the law of primogeniture is being practiced in Africa. So before we do that, I will introduce my guest today, Mr. Oraka, join us all the way from the northern region of Nigeria. Thank you for joining the program today, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. So the second guest today here in the studio is Mrs. Katie Salami, all the way from the United States, California. Thank you for joining the program today.
Thank you for having me.
So yeah, our next speaker is Mrs. Sosa Edogiawerie, all the way from the United Kingdom. Thank you for joining the program today.
Thanks for having me, Netman. Lovely to be here.
So yeah, I have a video that I'm going to play, like what I said earlier about this law of primogeniture. A lawyer, I think he said he's a lawyer, so he discussed about the law of primogeniture, how it's being practiced in the Igbo land and the Benin Kingdom as well. So he elaborated more on the Benin Kingdom, the law of primogeniture. So I'm going to play the video, then we'll come back and discuss about this topic.
Supposed to know about the Igbo is that it must. The first thing you have to know is that Igbos are found mostly in Anambra, in Enugu, in Imo, in Ebonyi, and some parts of Rivers and Delta states. You should know that in all these places, they practice the primogeniture rule. Now, what is the primogeniture rule? The primogeniture rule is where fathers are the ones that own properties. And when the fathers die, they give those properties to the son. That rule is called primogeniture. That is to say, in Igbo land, women do not inherit properties. And also, they do not own properties. Do you understand? The daughters do not inherit properties from their late fathers. This lecture basically is about the primogeniture rule that says that the fathers gives their property to the sons, and then the sons are the ones who own the property. However, you should also know that there are 3 different types of primogeniture rule. 3 different types. Now, the first rule says that the first son takes all the properties of the father. This first rule says that the first son takes all the properties. There is a second rule that says that the first son takes only the obi of the father, and every other property is owned collectively by all the other male children. So the first son only owns, if the father had 5 properties, the first son only owns the obi, which is the house that the father lived before he died. Now the remaining 4 properties are owned collectively by all the children. And then we have the third primogeniture rule, which says that the first son and all other brothers would own all the properties together. The third rule says the first son and all other brothers will own all the properties together. So this is not a matter of the first son, like here, the first son owning all the properties. It is not a matter of the first son owning only the obi, but in this case, the first son has the same right like every other sons belonging to the man. You have to know that we are talking about the Benin Customary.
Okay, so let's discuss about the Igbo primogeniture system before we go to the Benin aspect of it. Mr. Oraka, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Oraka.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
you heard that what he said about the Igbo culture, how they practice the law of primogeniture, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think about this law? How he excluded the females from inheriting anything from the family?
Now, the first and foremost, the word is actually pronounced primogeniture. It's a
Yeah.
collective word from the word prime and geniture. That's gen, gene, genealogical linkage to somebody. So the word in itself connotes that from the dictionary definition, it connotes that the first son gets everything exclusively belonging to the deceased dad or mother, as the case may be. From the man's definition, he tried as much as possible to extrapolate three types of primogenitures, the rules of primogeniture. That's one where the first son, exclusively inherits the property of the deceased parents, and the second rule is where uh, the first son gets the obi, which is the house that the father lived before he died, whereas the remaining properties are jointly shared by other surviving male siblings. And then I didn't quite get the third one, but these are the two that I have. But one thing I do know in Africa is that
You said
our culture is
the third one
okay.
has to do with all the male children in the family will inherit the property equally. You
Okay.
understand that? So in this
Yeah.
case, the females are excluded totally from
Yeah.
getting or inheriting anything from the parents. So yeah.
Yeah. So such culture like this, as it evolves, sharing of property, even though the true definition of primogeniture is not practiced as it is defined in the dictionary in Africa, but mostly what I do know that guides uh, our culture, different cultures, when they share property, is some sense of male chauvinism in this whole idea, because people tend to think that when you give the female part of the property, because the lady now answers or bears another person's name, it is assumed that whatever property is given to the female goes to another family. So the idea behind, or the idea that sustains our own type of primogeniture, is the fact that there is this belief system that when the properties remain with the surviving sons of the deceased, because they will be carrying on the name of the deceased, that therefore it is believed that the property remains in the family. So to me, it's a matter of reasoning. I wouldn't want to say logic. It's a matter of reasoning. Now, civilization has brought us to a point where we do realize that the female offspring is as much a human being as the male child, even though it takes two to tangle. It takes the male child and the female, and it takes the female gender and the male gender to produce male. But I actually think, unlike most civilized cultures like in America or Europe, this idea of if I don't have a male child, my name will die with my name will die. It's really not a big factor there. So but in Africa here, people want to believe that properties must remain within the family. So I really think it's a culture that has a perspective that I think is deliberately excludes the male, and the sins. I'm sorry, it's a practice that deliberately excludes the female. And I think the sins of the female in Africa, of the female gender in Africa, is because they are marrying another person who bears another name. So giving the lady that property means she's taking it to another family with another name, another dynasty. So I think that is what really guides our own form of primogeniture. Thank you.
Okay,
Hello?
that is the justification for this law of primogeniture, why the females are excluded from inheriting properties from their from their parents, right? That
Yeah, I'm not saying in affirmation with the law. I'm just explaining why these things occur, why it is practiced the way it is. I'm not saying I'm in tandem with the idea, but I'm just telling you why it is being practiced the way it is, at least particularly from the Igbo perspective that the presenter presented in the short clip we watched. So it is more about not allowing a female who is going to bear another man's name to inherit the property. I think that's basically what is involved there. It's not because they love the lady less, or I think it's more or less that. I think that's it.
It's not that they love the ladies less.
Yes.
Okay. So let me bring someone else in here. Mrs. Katie Salami, hello, can you hear us?
I can hear you, ma'am.
Can you sit upward a little bit? It's
yeah,
like,
I was going to say that.
It's my camera.
Can you push the computer to your front a little bit?
It's my camera.
Like that, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but then I have to bend it.
Yes, perfect, like that. We can see you now. Oh, beautiful.
Well, this topic is very sensitive. It's a very sensitive topic because it all started with the colonists, like the British, the French, the German, started I think in the 18 to 1900. And then, of course, it has watered down now. You know, I hear Mr. Oraka, I really appreciate your response because I like the fact that you were not really keen on kind of male chauvinistic kind of style. So I kind of like that. It just kind of is wonderful. And, you know, depending on the definition and where you get it from, is biblical. Again, look at the time of Esau and Jacob. You understand what I mean? So this is a very sensitive topic, and personally, it's a very dear topic to me. Traditions are tradition, because tradition, when it all started, I think it was done by the males. However, I'm only going to talk about the impact of the preferences. You know, we have so many harmful traditions, like the Igbos. I know there's a law right now in the Supreme Court. I think I read something either a year or a few years ago, where the Igbo women now are entitled to inheritance of their deceased parents. So to me, I was flabbergasted when I find out that this Supreme Court have made a decision because of their awareness, because of people like us now are talking about it, because it's not a fair practice. However, according to the video about the primogeniture, you know, it all depends on the law. Says, listen now, it says it's a right by law, the custom of the legitimate firstborn to inherit the deceased parent's property. Where the problem that I have is the absolute. Before the 19th century, it was absolute. The first legitimate living son absolutely have everything.
Yes.
But now it has watered down.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that video where it says, of course, the first son will inherit, and then the first son will also share in the second son inheritance, where the first son will own the Igbo by the Benin, and the Igbo calls it the Obi. So it's watering down right now. Again, I'm going to stick with the preferences because tradition is tradition. Thank you.
Interesting. Yes. Yeah. You know, also in Benin, it's still similar in Benin. I will give an example in my family. When my uncle joined his ancestors, the Gyogbe, that is the OP, according to the Igbo people, was inherited by the overall senior son of the family, while the rest properties were distributed or shared among the rest children. Okay, so the first son inherited that Igiogbe, that is the house, the father. I think I have to play the other video, then I will allow Miss Esosa talk first, then I'll play the other video where he will explain how they practice this Igiogbe, the law of Igiogbe in Benin Kingdom. The same thing happened in my family, that the first son inherited the biggest house, the house that the father resided before he died, Igiogbe. You understand? So that is the law. The first one is always privileged in this case. In most cases, the females are just excluded as if they are nobody. So we will discuss more about the female aspects of this law of primogeniture. Why are we so disadvantaged in many areas of life? You know, when you look at, exclusion in the workplace, in many cases, just because of our female attributes, why are we so much excluded in many things? In leadership, you see it in leadership, you see it in the family, inheritance, so many aspects of the society that females are being excluded. So we elaborate on that. So let me bring Mrs. Esosa. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Nickman. And I like the contribution Mr. Oraka and my sister, Mrs. Salamin, contributed. Like you rightly said, Mrs. Salamin, this is a custom that started from the Bible, from the British culture. The monarchy is still exactly the same way today in Britain. And in the Bible, we understand how Esau and Jacob, what happened to Esau and Jacob, because one of them wanted to be the firstborn and wanted to take the position of the firstborn. We know what happened. And it's also still very practicable in Africa today. That the first son, like you said, Nekme, and Mr. Oraka said, the first son inherits the biggest side of the family's inheritance. The biggest son or the other son then pass some of the property to the other brothers. Like what we in Benin, what's actually practiced in Benin is the third one that the guy in the video explained. The third version of the primogeniture's custom is actually practiced in Benin, where the eldest son had the Igbo, and then other property are shared among all the other children. What is also very, very not very, very happy, or not very, very, doesn't sound right in African culture, is that the women are made to contribute to their parents' welfare when their parents are alive. The women are made in Benin when a family dies. The women are the one that do isoto. They are the one that pays the price to actually bury their father, but they are the one that are not entitled to anything at all when their father are leaving inheritance to the boys. Boys don't do those kind of sacrifices when their parents pass away. The women does that. And Mr. Raka rightly said, because they believe that the woman is married to another man, the woman is not entitled to inherit anything from the father's house and take to the husband's family, because it will look as if the woman is taking the right, the father's right to their husband's right. And that is, like you said, Nickman, it's absolutely true. Why are we always disadvantaged in everything? When it comes to leadership, when it comes to inheritance, when it comes to bearing your father's name, women are the ones that have to change their last name to their husband's name. Women are the ones that would look after their parents more, but yet they are the ones that are not entitled to inheritance.
Yes.
That is the sad part.
So let's just go forward, and I'll play that video, then we'll come back again and discuss about the Benin primogeniture system.
Customary law, and there are three customs under the Benin customary law. The first one is the Uro custom, the second one is the rule of primogeniture, while the third one is the one concerning the Igbo. Do you understand? That is the Igbo custom. Now, when you're talking about the Uro custom, I'm going to explain the Uro custom in another video entirely, same as the primogeniture custom. But I just want to give highlights on the primogeniture custom. Now, when you're talking about the primogeniture custom, we are saying that the eldest son in the primogeniture custom is the one that is supposed to take the properties. Do you understand? However, there are two variants of the primogeniture custom. The first variant was stated in the case of Ogiamin versus Ogiamin, or Ogiamen versus Ogiamen. Now, I am not a Benin person, so when it comes to the pronunciation, I might be wrong, so please forgive me. Now, in that particular case, the court held in that case that the eldest son is supposed to take the whole property of the deceased exclusively. Do you understand? And his brothers do not have right to that particular property. That's the first variant, when you have the eldest son holding the property exclusively. He owns it. If the man had 50 properties during his lifetime, he will be the owner of those 50 properties. Do you understand? While the second variant is where when the deceased dies, then the eldest son is supposed to hold the property in trust, just like he's the family head, and the property does not belong to him but belongs to the family. I have made a different video entirely on family property and how the family head is supposed to hold the family property in trust for the members. Please do well to watch that video. I'll drop a link in the description below. So like I was saying, the first variant was stated in the case of Ogiamin versus Ogiamin, that the eldest son owns the property exclusively and then he becomes the owner of all the property of the deceased. The second is where the property is not owned by the eldest son but by the family, and the eldest son is only but a family head who owns the property in trust, which means that he administers the property and manages the property. And like I said earlier, we also have the Uro custom. Now, in different parts of Benin Kingdom, they practice this custom, so it depends on what part of Benin Kingdom you are coming from. However, there is one particular custom that they practice in all parts of Benin Kingdom, and that is the custom of the Igbo. Do you understand? Now, when you are talking about the Igbo is regarded as a family house. Do you understand? Igbo is a family house. Do you understand? Now, the thing is, when the deceased dies, the Igbo is to be inherited exclusively by the eldest son. No other person has right to inheritance of that Igbo except the eldest son. Therefore, we now have two questions. What kind of house will constitute Igbo? That's the first question. And the second question, why is it only the son that can, the eldest son that can inherit, the Igbo? That is to say that why can't women also inherit Igbo, or other children or thereabout? I'm going to be answering the second question in subsequent videos to be released, but for the first question, what constitutes Igbo, I'll be answering in this particular video. Do you understand? Now, when you are talking about the Igbo, like I said earlier, there are some things that you are supposed to know. The first thing you are supposed to know about the Igbo is that it must be owned by a Benin man. Do you understand? The Igbo must be owned by a Benin man. That is number one. Number two, the Igbo must be situated in Benin Kingdom. Do you understand? The Igbo must be situated in Benin Kingdom, and that was stated in the case of Ohageba versus Orungahe. Now, note that, like I said earlier, I don't know the pronunciation of these cases. However, I am going to be putting them on the screen so that you would see them yourself and be able to pronounce them, because I definitely can pronounce them well. In that case, it was held that the Igbo must be situated in Benin Kingdom. The Igbo must be held by a Benin man. Do you understand? Now, another thing that you need to know is that the Igbo might be given down from generation to generation. Do you understand? Therefore, the Igbo could be a property that was given by someone's father. Do you understand? That's the deceased father. Do you understand what I'm saying? However, this is not a must. Do you understand? But it could be an indicia. Do you understand? It could be like something you used to know. Oh, his father gave it to him, that one's father gave it to him, and all that, and then you can trace it to this particular person. However, it is not a must that it must be given by the father. What should be a must is that the Igiobe should have what is known as the Okure, which is the third thing. They have the Igiobe must have the Okure. Now, the Okure is supposed to be the family shrine. So now, in the olden days, do you understand? What usually happens is people usually don't have a lot of houses. Do you understand? So they usually just have just one house and thereabouts. So according to the Benin custom, when a person dies, he is supposed to have 2 burials. Do you understand? Now, after the first burial has been done, the second burial is very, very important, because it is through the second burial that you are going to mount that person's altar in the house. And so when you want to communicate to that person, or you want to communicate to the ancestors, then you go to the family Okure, and the family Okure is situated in the Igiobe. So now, like I said earlier, you must have the Okure, which is supposed to be the family altar or the ancestral altar in the house.
Oh, this guy did so much
He's
justice
very good. He's very, very good.
to the law of primo. He explained it so clearly, despite that
He's
he
very,
was
very
not
good.
able to pronounce the names, but he did so good in explaining this law. Yes, exactly. The ukure. Ukure. What is the meaning of ukure? I have the video of ukure. I am not sure if we will be able to play it today. Ukure, I remember when my father was in his sick bed, knowing that he's going to die soon, he said one thing that I still remember. I was very young. He said the first son should take the ukure. So at that time, this idea of ukure to the first son was very, very significant in the Benin culture at that time. So for him, he gave that right of the ukure to the first son of the family. And when you look at during those days in Benin, the first son supposed to inherit everything. But today things are changing, like what Mr. Uraka said, that things are changing now in Nigeria. When my uncle joined his ancestors, all his properties, we are not giving to the first son. We're not giving to the first son. So they have to look at it according to Uro. So my uncle had many wives, and those women had children for him. So what they did is to ensure that any woman that had children in that family, the first child of the family of that woman, will have a property. That is what they did. So unlike those days, whereby even though the dad had how many houses, it goes to only the first son. So things are changing. I believe what you said, Mr. Oraka. Yes. So I will allow Ms. Katie Salami to elaborate on this video, what this man just said. You know, he also mentioned your family, the Ogiamie versus Ogiamie. There are many case studies about this law of primogeniture, how they argue it in the courts. What was the deliberation of the court after the argument? So that is why this guy, I so much appreciate this presentation. He explained it very, very eloquently. So, Miss Katie Salami, go ahead and tell us about this video, what the man just said.
Anyway, to be honest with you, we cannot discuss the primogeniture issue without actually referencing Ogiamie versus Ogiamie. I know in the video they misspelled Ogiamie. Ogiamie is spelled Ogiamien. So we cannot start it off without actually addressing the issue, because that was the very first case, was Ogiamie versus Ogiamie, and there's also Osula versus Osula, and also Oluwo. So there's so many families, yes. Okay. So, but in that case of Ogiamie versus Ogiamie, the eldest son became absolute. The father has 3 different properties, and he has different gates. So he became absolute, and this is my family. And I'm also going to talk about some of the eldest sons that are really not up to par.
Miss Katie, let me, I don't want to interrupt you. Miss Katie Salami, she's actually from the Ogiamie family.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a perfect topic for you.
Yes.
Explain
So
to us.
that's why at the same time it's a very sensitive, very sensitive topic for women. The reason I really want to talk more, because I want the women rights advocates to really beginning to address this issue, because this issue of these harmful practices have caused so many issues in the health, the mental health, and the well-being of women. We understand I'm a married woman, and I understand a man is the head of the household because it's biblical. However, we also want to understand that inheriting the elder son taking everything, especially, it causes segregation, it causes anger, it causes grief, it causes depression, it causes the family to be disrupted, and this is not the goal of the owner of this property. Okay, so if an elder son that is very greedy, again, please understand that there are traditions that will entail that the elder son takes everything. But now things are changing, because the goal why the elder son supposed to take everything was because of the unmarried siblings, so that they would be able to maybe provide some needs for them, help them with the children education, or help them set up for life. But many of the elder sons now who are greedy will take everything and care less, especially about the women, thinking the women, they're going to get married and you're going to have a say in your marital home. All right. So, but this is where things have really watered down, because the goal of it is not sustainable now. So the goal now, most family are sharing their property, giving their property. If your father is alive and he gave you your inheritance or your property, it's a gift. It's only when your father dies, and then of course the issue of the primogeniture will come in. In case of my dad, he shared everything that he need to share, so it's a gift. We all know where we stand. However, the main house, Igbo, of course, belonged to my eldest brother who is alive, right? And there is positive thing and there is negative about that. I can sell my property that my dad gave me, but it will be embarrassing for my brother to sell that to Gilbert, right? So because that is going to be a place they're going to let my father to rest. So it will be, it will be an embarrassment for you to sell that kind of property, because you're wiping out completely the legacy of that man that has suffered to own those property. So that's why I'm leaning towards some preferences. The preferences that I'm leaning towards is these gates. Let's be fair. Let the tradition be fair. Do not put a family in a situation where the eldest son will take everything. Let's share. Let the eldest son take the main Igbo, of course, by tradition rights. That's his right. But if the father has any other thing, let it go to each gate, so that there will be a start of life in every gate. In Benin, as it stands, it's not the house. A land I was told when one of my friends that appraised the father raggedy looking house, the land was over 50 million per bank assessment. But the house is no more than $10, right? So can you imagine giving that land to one person? That person is going to sell that land, take the money. The land is going to enrich that person's family. What happened to the rest children? They're going to struggle. How long can they struggle? And then this is where the law is very harmful and is very insensitive to my thoughts. Women take care of both parents. If you look at it these days, this day and age, women are out there taking care of their parents, of their family. And when these parents are gone, nothing is left for that woman. Is this really fair? So it's not a fair tradition. Again, depends on each family. There are families that there is a chieftaincy, again, the ukure. They cannot give me ukure. Of course, I don't know the importance, but the ukure will be given to the eldest person. And I'm sure the other person might have been trained by their father before to know the importance of this ukure. Okay, so ukure in an ancestral home cannot be solved. So I also support in a little way the Igbo part, where the first son, yes, we own the ancestral home, and at the same time, if the father is wealthy, we'll be able to share in the other parts of the property. It's only fair, because that ancestral home can never be sold. It's going to go from children to children. I'll stop so that somebody else can talk.
Yes, yeah, the Igiogbe in Benin. If, for instance, they allow the first son to take possession of the Giogbe and allow other children to also live in that Igiogbe, in most cases, the senior son will chase other children away from the Giogbe. We have seen that over and over again in Benin Kingdom. You understand that?
But that's where the greed coming, though. That's the greed.
So
yes.
it's good if, for instance, okay, Giogbe is supposed to be the family house where everybody, when you are having any challenges outside, you come to Giogbe, you have a place, you know, your father's house. But in most cases, the senior sons, they don't allow other children, even though they are from the same gate, like what you just said, the same mother, they still chase them out of the house. The females just forget about it. The females are not even recognized at all in this case. So that is not where we are trying. Yeah. So that is where we are concerned about. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Sosa.
Oh, thank you, Netman. That is not customary, though. That is just act of unkindness and wickedness of siblings. Where siblings don't care, they don't want to look after their siblings. I have witnessed in my family that we do the Uro custom, the Uro type of one, where the eldest son inherit the Giogbe. Like Sister Salami said, Giogbe is sacramental. It belongs to the family. It's from generation to generation. It's something that has been passed down from one generation to the other. Like you said, it would be an embarrassment if you sell a house that your great-great-great-grandfather was buried. Then you're selling your great-great-great-grandfather's body, and you're selling your grandfather's body, and then you're selling your father's body. It is a huge embarrassment in Benin for anyone to sell Igiogbe. This is one of the reasons why Igiogbe is not given to a lady. Because you do not want your husband, your daughter's husband, to come and live in your ancestral house. And then your husband, your daughter's husband, is now the one looking after your ancestral's uhure. This is one of the customary reasons why they don't do that in Benin. Because then the family name would not have to change. Now, coming down to the Uro customary, what I have observed over time is that I have observed when a father passed away, the eldest son inherited the Giogbe. Like you said, rightly said, Netman, and Sister Salami said, is that the Giogbe is supposed to be the home where if any daughter having difficulty in their marriage, they come back to the Giogbe to settle. But some are very, very self-centered, selfish eldest brother don't want their sisters to come back, don't even want their younger brothers to live there. They want it to themselves. But what I have seen sisters who probably have difficulties in their marriage, and they left their marriage, they come back to the Giogbe to come and settle. And then other properties that are not connected to the Giogbe that the father has were passed down to different first son in different rules. For example, my uncle had 3 wives, and in all of the 3 wives, they all have boys as their eldest children. So the eldest son inherited the Giogbe, which was my grandfather's house, that was passed down to my uncle, and then my uncle passed it down to his eldest son, where the Ohure should be, if it was not for Christianity, that's where the Ohure should be. Now, all the other children from different Uru inherited something else, different houses in different locations, different properties or land in different locations. But the daughters were meant to be welcomed back into the Giogbe if they were struggling in any aspect of life at all. And that has been the case in my family, because that's what is practiced. That's what I've seen practice in my family. But sometimes in some family, they are not accommodating. Some eldest brothers are not accommodating. Some siblings don't want their siblings to share anything with them. They want to change the law. They want to change the customary law. They want to make it like exclusively. I want to own everything that my father owned before when he was alive. And like that the gentleman who presented the video said, there are some culture where they say the father passed away. And then they said for the first 3-4 years, before the funeral arrangement is completely concluded, the eldest son takes charge of the property. You don't own that property, you're looking after it, which means by the time the family are ready to actually distribute it amongst the siblings, they will come and distribute it. But what have happened in some cases is, like we said, some self-centered siblings, they are meant to be looking after the property, they claim it, and then becomes a problem. They don't want the family to come back and share those properties for their brothers. They don't want their sisters or their siblings, anyone to take out of the property. They want to own it exclusively, even if that is not the customary law of the family. I have also witnessed that in Benin. And yes, like you said, it is a sad case, because nowadays women are the one that look after their families. Women are the one that takes their father to on holiday, buy things for the father. Yet women are excluded in all of this inheritance. And I've also seen people who also consider their daughters now, who are writing wills and say, like you said, gift a property to their daughter and gift cars to their daughter. What is given to daughters when their father are alive are considered gifts, not inheritance. And that's the way a lot of people have managed the customary law to accommodate their daughters and accommodate other people. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Sosa. So, like what this man said in one of his video, that in some cases the parents will write their will. Okay, so in the case whereby the parent, the deceased parents, wrote will before he died, that will they will build upon the will to share the properties. So in a case whereby a will was not written, so they have to go to the African customary law existing in that culture. Like the Benin, then we have to see the Uro, the Gyokbe kind of a thing. So yeah. So what I'm going to say about this is that, like what this man said, that in those days, our ancestors were not accumulating properties too much. They were not building houses upon houses like today, whereby one man will have how many houses. It wasn't like that those days. Igiogbe remains Igiogbe. The first son will inherit it. Then the first son of that son will inherit it. It goes like that. That house will be there. They will only be renovating the house. You understand? They will only be renovating the house. That house will be there. They will tell you this house has been existing for centuries at that time, because they don't used to building houses all over the whole place. They don't do that at that time. So now that things are changing with this globalization, civilization, that people are now accumulating wealth. I mean, a man can build how many houses? I think that customary law should be changed so that other children will have a preference or have a share of those properties after the father joined his or the parent joined the ancestor. That is what I would say, because right now we are not living in the 14th century anymore. We are not living in the 15th century. Yeah.
Okay. The area that is very touchy is some women came to their husband home with their own inheritance. Some women are very wealthy. They came, married this man, supported the man. The man became established. And perhaps the woman is not the mother of the eldest son. And when the man passes on, those properties are shared to somebody else's children and not this woman that came with the wealth. You see how it's very detrimental. So what I'm saying, it's very detrimental. It hurts. Can you imagine? I know in Benin language, what's halobani near gume huanere. You understand? And again, our culture detail us to support our husband. And here women are supporting their husband in everything that they have. And when the man passes, the family that is
it was stated in the case of harassing.
He's sharing this property to somebody else's children. I just wanted to include that. That is it really affects the well-being of that woman.
That is very, very well spot on, Sister Salami, Mrs. Salami. like I said, what I have witnessed nowadays in the modern day Benin, a lot of people are writing will, or a lot of people are now gifting their wife who meant something very important to them, gifting their wives and their children something rather than waiting for the customary law to be used for the distribution of inheritance. And I think that's what we want to promote. If you think that the customary law of your family is not something you want to pass on to your children, write a will. Write a will and give your children things. Give your wife, the wife who work hard to get you to where you are. Gift your wife something and gift your children something. Even if the woman doesn't have a male child for you, gift the female child something to compensate them for what the mother contributed to your life, rather than waiting for the customary law to deprive them, to exclude them from gaining anything from you. And I think that's what we are leaning to right now.
Yes, exactly. That's what I said earlier. That things are changing now in Africa, unlike those days whereby our parents, our ancestors, we are not accumulating so much wealth. And these days, men are accumulating wealth, building houses all over the whole place. So the earlier the better. Write your will. Even females are very successful in modern day, unlike before, whereby females are restricted to only domestic chores or domestic work. So females are very successful these days. Write your will. Don't allow only the first son to dominate your properties. You understand? Equality is very, very important here. All
This
the
is
dominating this show.
These are
this
strong
is
women. That's why.
I didn't know that this is just a way to prove that women are now stronger, and then I can be relegated to the background. All of a sudden, it has you've just forgotten that I'm here. Now,
So
wow.
go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
In any case, let me say something here. You see, what I simply think that is happening here is that, in fairness to our forefathers who designed this tradition, they were limited by the variables that they were confronted with at the times. But what
Absolutely.
we are seeing today is that the dynamics of our culture and society has improved or has become even more.
Let's play
If you
the
look at all
ukure.
these are ukure.
Ukure.
Before the advent of bronze casting and photography, weaving and carving were already in existence in the art of Benin. Ukure, staff of office, is a carved wooden object with a raptor inside the upper arm. This was a sort of representation, like photography, to immortalize the head of the family whenever he passed on to glory. This staff is placed in an altar dedicated to the ancestors, one after another. The said ancestors are canonized, and it is believed that their spirits can answer prayers or convey the prayers to God. It is believed that each ancestor or another during his lifetime had the propensity of a special gift like wealth, wisdom, creativity, good luck, value, love, etc., which he can grant his children and great-grandchildren on request. Their spirits are even ready to answer prayers like the angels and saints do on behalf of the faithful.
So who is this? Who is this person?
Okay, one of the ancestors, one of the elders, one of the Okaibas, drinking, having good time, communicating in the spirit. Ukures. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what does the Ukure mean? Ukure is believed to harbor the soul and the spirit of the ancestors. In Benin, the Beninese were originally not idol worshippers. Whatever idols we find in Benin were actually imported from our Yoruba nation.
Yes.
For example, Ifa Oromila is not an indigen of Benin. Shango is not. Ogun is not.
It was imported.
Imported from the Yoruba nation. However,
Oloku
the
is
Benin
not.
believe in
Oloku.
what they call Ehi. They believe also in the ancestors. They believe in the supreme God. In fact, above all, they believe in the supreme God called Usanobu Anogodua. Yes. Okute tebite roi, okote tebite negworo, akpama, okondudu. So they believe in the supreme God. Now, to drive home this point, let me quickly add this one. The Beninese they have been able to give an answer, to provide a real answer to the word ethnography. Ethnography has been described by sociologists as the division of people into lineages, into races, into clans. Clan means large family group. What does that mean? It simply means that the Beninese, they are the only race that can boast of over 52 coded salutations when they are shared into different races, into clans. When a child wakes up in Benin, he does not tell the parents, greet the parents, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma. Good morning, sir. No, 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 no. Such a child is considered as being rude. When you grow up, we were brought up to greet our elders in the coded salutation. A child was.
Yes. So yeah, like the Ukure, what I just played the video about Ukure. That Ukure was according to the old days, is always inherited by the first son, because that Ukure is a kind of a shrine where they communicate with the ancestors. Okay, so and that Ukure will always be designated in the Igiobe, that is the family house. And in those days, okay, I will call you back. I will call you back, sir.
Hello?
I will call you back.
No, send me the link again. I'm trying to. The link is not going.
All right, send him the link.
Okay, I will send you.
Yes.
I will send you.
I think the connection went off. Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, I just lost my thoughts.
The Gyogbe, you were talking about the Gyogbe.
You were talking about Igbo.
Okay, yes. According to our culture, you know, in those days, the Ukure will be located in the Gyogbe. And Benin people, according to what Mr. Chris just said, that we had no deity of our own. You understand? What we believe in Benin mostly is this our ancestors. We believe so much in our ancestors that when you are praying in Benin, you pray to your ancestors to guide and protect you. Even Igwe festival is a kind of a thanksgiving where you pray to the ancestors to protect you and thank the ancestors through your head, you know, for protecting you for the whole year. So we don't really have a deity that is said, okay, this deity is specifically for the Benin people like that. That is what many people don't understand about the Benin culture. You understand? And this Ukure is very, very significant in Benin Kingdom. So in any household, those days, Ukure would be located in.
Let me quickly jump in though. With the new topic that we're discussing, you know, the law only applies, or traditionally, if that first son actually is mentally balanced. So if you have a first son that is mentally challenged, I don't think they will ever give that person the Igbo. I'm not sure if a father has a title chief that is going to a child that is going to go down to the first son. If the first son is mentally not capable, I don't think he will go down. So there is always a deviation in the custom also, because you cannot give a man that is the oldest son that is really not sure where he not even is not you know what I mean?
Yes,
so
yes.
If he's mentally ill,
right. You are right, Mrs.
Yeah, if he's mentally ill, they're
Mrs.
not going to
Salami,
give him
you are
those
very
wealth.
correct.
Exactly.
Hello.
So there is deviation even in our tradition.
Mr. Raka,
okay, go ahead, sir.
Before you will say something, I have one example to give about what Miss Katie Salami just said is very important. I'm sorry, I will allow you to talk. What you just said now, you just remind me of Benin history. For those of us who study the history of SCG and Arwan, you know what happened? The first son of Oba Ozolwa, was a physically challenged child when he was young. According to what they said happened, he was playing in the field with his brothers, and he injured his ankle and became crippled. So in Benin, it's forbidden for a crippled first son to become the Oba of Benin. So because of that, he was excluded. That is why his name is not very popular in Benin history today. But when you look at the law of primogeniture, he's supposed to become the Oba of Benin. Because of that disability, he was excluded. Okay, that is the history. That is why Oba
thank you, Nekme.
the Oba of Benin. But by birthright, it was that child, the first was supposed to become the Oba of Benin. Yes. Thank you, Miss Ketty Salami.
Thank you, Nekme. You see, this is one of the reasons. Nekme, this is one of the challenges that people are facing today. That the custom have not caused serious competitiveness among siblings. That the sibling will want to make sure the brother becomes mentally unstable so that they can inherit what their brother should inherit. A lot of women can also go to different means to make their second wife or their third child to become mentally or physically disabled so that their child can become above the other person's child. This has caused a huge problem in the dynamics of family in Africa.
So yes, that's what we said, because it's causing this.
I think we've lost Mr. Oraka again.
Yes.
I think we've lost Mr. Oraka again.
This law is very controversial. Is very, very controversial. That is why parents, modern day parents, should do something as soon as possible so that we will not cause conflicts when we are not here anymore.
And in addition, Ms. Nekme, if I can also come in here, this is where my heart goes as a woman. The law also, there are some family that they will have absolute inheritance that will also be giving their father's wife. It also encompasses their father wives to be given in the time of the father death to the eldest son. And we have situation where the eldest son will do whatever it takes or whatever happens, sleeping with their own father's wife. You know, when I think about it, it's like, God help me.
Mr. Raka is back.
Okay, let me quickly finish so I can hand it over to him. I just said, the reason I'm speaking again is to bring awareness to women. Women, we need to be educated, knowledgeable. Do we really have to depend on the husband wealth? We have to be able to differentiate and go ahead and make it on our own so that we'll have our own self-respect and dignity. Thank you.
I think we are doing that. We are doing that in modern day.
We are doing that.
We are doing it. Yes. So, Mr. Oraka, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
I think when next you guys are inviting me, I will put on boxing gloves to come and face. You guys, you have shown me that you people are very strong. But I must say what I want to say. In any case, what I was trying to say before I had the technical hitch was that, you see, we must give credit to our forefathers who attempted to mold these traditions or customs. They were limited by their ability to assess the variables that occurred at the time they were making this tradition. But as time went on, civilization became more complex. The dynamics that existed in today's socio-cultural existence did not exist then. I heard somebody saying that sometimes somebody inherited the land and had one mushroom house, and the large expanse of lands accompanied that house in the form of Igbo, right? And today, such a value of that land becomes very, very high, you understand? And then, which leads to some first son becoming very greedy. I am the first son of 18 children, you understand me? And well, by virtue of my person, I don't have the tendency to take everything for myself. And I also still believe that the people who carved that tradition that the Igbo should go to the first son didn't intend that the first son should own it for his own whims or caprice, as the case may be. I strongly believe that those who created this custom intended that because the first son is the oldest in the house and may have had longest experience with the family history, should be in custody of such Igyobe to extend that history to children unborn. Unfortunately, children greed and society comes in. Now, what we should be thinking as and then before I come to the main point, you see, the status of females then, when these cultures were formed, are not the same status. Where females were then are not the same. It's not the same way that we have today. Now we have corporate business executives, directors, you know, people, female, you know what I'm trying to say. Or in those days, we have females who were seen more or less like laborers and child bearers. So the status of females then didn't really help them well to be seen as people capable of handling custody of Igyobe and all of Igyobe. You understand me? It wasn't as, I don't think it was because of menstruation or whatever. The male chauvinism did not extend into not understanding the physiology of the female. That is not what it is. It was more or less like the status of the female then. What I think though is happening is the fact that society has failed to turn tradition that existed then to face the realism of the dynamics that exist today. That is what society has failed.
The change, yes, in the society today,
the peculiarities of the female gender that we have today as a result of the changing dynamics of our society. So the tradition has not been turned to face the realism of the dynamics that we have today. Now, in those days, in Africa in general, I'm not trying to talk down on the black man, but you see, the elasticity of our thought process. Sorry, you might see the lighting on because we really don't have light. I'm just using a bunch of touch lights. Right? So anyway, that's by the way. So please bear with me. This is Nigeria for me. So the elasticity of the thought processes of our forefathers then was so limited that they did not foresee the changing dynamics that we are seeing today. In some cultures, like in advanced society, you find out that if you place the dynamics of today's system, the tradition of the past still works perfectly to arrange what we have, the dynamics of today's cultural existence. But in our case in Africa, such traditions didn't take into that consideration. For instance, okay, if you say the Igyobe now, the Igyobe in those days could be one mushroom, like the lady said, it could be $10. Today, you have people who have, for instance, let's say I have a house, and then I have a business project. Maybe my hotel is even worth 10 times than my house I'm staying. Of course, the first son, by tradition, the house I'm staying belongs to my first son, and not the hotel. But because the first son knows that the hotel is more expensive than the house, he would want to say, okay, he wants the hotel, he doesn't want the house. So these are strange dynamics that we have in today's context, which our tradition didn't embrace to look at. You understand me? Now, there was a point a lady made the other time and said, look, about men and women. You see, because of the status of women in the past, men found it because men were usually landlords of the house. Women were taken to the farm, were child bearers, they cook and all of that. Everything about the female status then in the past, enhanced the ego of the men. So imagine men with so much ego that has been piled up and built above what their aura can take, sitting down to draft the constitution. Of course, these constitutions will be built in such a way that it favors the men. Just as one may think if it were the women who sat down also to design this tradition, they too would have designed this tradition to take care of the fact that they are the child bearers, they are the one who menstruates, they are the one who eventually take care of the old aged parents when they are old. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just so unfortunate that society today, I think the basic problem of our modern day society is that because if we practice this tradition as they evolved in the past, it will keep favoring the firstborn or those who are direct beneficiaries or sorry, let me take that again. If we keep operating tradition as they were in the past when our forefathers evolved them, it will keep benefiting the direct beneficiaries of the lopsided tradition. So what you as females should do, please don't tell the other male folk that I'm giving you this secret. What Mrs. Katie Salami is a clinical social worker. So I think she should understand best where I'm coming from with this ideology. So what is happening right now is that our modern day society has evolved complex dynamics in our way of living, whereas the tradition that we are operating was not designed to foresee these complex changes. So I think in your book, Nekben, you should as much as possible try to draw or itemize these dynamics and within the light of its complexities, and see how this tradition can be metamorphosed to accommodate these dynamics that we currently see today. Because to be very frank, to be talking about this tradition as the man elaborated in his video, in the face of this our modern day society, believe me, we are going to have problems. And those who would not want this tradition to be changed are the direct beneficiaries. Nobody will want to change a system that he directly benefits from. So those who feel shortchanged, should, as much as possible, create a channel where this because the male folks are pretending not to know that society has evolved and has changed, and therefore the tradition, as archaic as it is, should continuously be operated. That's what they are doing. They are pretending. It is you, the female folk, who has come to the realization, because you, the female folk, are the ones who have even shown the greatest change in dynamics. Nekpen today, if I roll back 200 years ago, this is not how you look like. You look like one rickety old woman going to my farm to farm for me. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. So you should be able now to itemize these dynamics and match it with the tradition, and let society see how archaic this tradition can accommodate today's dynamics. That way, people can begin to see that yes, there's a need to refashion this constitution, this tradition to accommodate these varying changes.
Mr. Raka, I think it's the same thing that we just discussed. Maybe you logged out at that time. We discussed about this, that this custom or tradition is updated in modern day because of the globalization or modernization, I would say. Because in those days, like what I said earlier, our ancestors were not accumulating wealth. So what we call Igiogbe or Obi, according to the Igbo people, was a kind of a family house whereby the father will live there all his life, and after the father joined his ancestors, he will leave that house while the first son will take over. Because we have one tradition in Benin. So one tradition that man mentioned about Ukure. Ukure is a very special shrine in Benin Kingdom, and it's located in that house, the Giogbe. So that Ukure goes to the first son. So, and that family house can never be sold. You can't sell family house, it's forbidden. That house, they retain it as a Giogbe, as a family house where everybody can come to. You understand? And stay there. So only the senior son is the head of that house. is the head of the house. Okay, so in modern day, some senior sons are abusing that tradition by chasing their siblings away from the Igiogbe.
It's yeah. I've seen things like that happen.
Okay,
Actually,
that
I've
is
seen it
what I'm
happen.
trying to explain. So under Igiogbe, we have Ukure, and the Benin people, this idea of Ukure is a shrine where they call or talk to their ancestors. So in Benin, we really don't have deities like that. Our major deity, I would say, is that Ukure, where we speak to our ancestors. And it's located in that Igiogbe, which is very special. And those days, I will repeat, those days, our ancestors were not building houses whereby after my father joined his ancestors, he has how many houses before he died. We have to share it among. No, it wasn't like that at that time. So that Igiogbe can live for centuries. You understand? Centuries. Why
Yeah.
Igiogbe? It's only renovation that the first son can renovate it, that it will be there forever. So and
In my
as
own,
our society
hold
is
on,
changing.
hold on. In my own place, for instance, my father, that's my grandfather, who I'm answering his name. He had a lot of female children. He
Where
had
are
a
you
lot of
from?
female children, and at least I'm from Delta State. I'm an Urobo man.
Okay.
He had a lot of female children, so and a large expanse of land, very large expanse of land. So the female children, and incidentally, the female children, as they were getting old, they were the ones who were married to very rich people, business moguls, and all of that. So because they were answering other names, they were the one insisting that the land should be divided and shared. But the males who were very, very young, at least the age gap was like 30 or so between the female and the male. So they were like children and couldn't talk. So the elders of the town say, okay, don't sell this land. But if you have money and you want to build a house, come and they'll give you land with 1 or 2 plots, depending on the quality of house you're going to build, and they'll give you a plot and then you build. That's how we are today. Up till today, the surviving females are still insisting that they sell off the land and then they share the money. Perhaps it is one of the reasons why they felt females should be sure, because the only thing a female thinks, maybe they're not your modern day female, is sell off these legacies and then everybody goes his own way. So
no, what we are
perhaps
saying,
our
Mr.
forefathers,
Raka,
okay,
what we are saying right now, I'm a female. I don't depend on my parents' property. You understand? Because it's in the culture. Once you are born as a female, especially when you are not the first daughter, I'm not the first daughter of my family. I'm not the first son. You know how much I've been excluded. Like what I wrote in my book, that I was so neglected. Nobody even cared about me in the family. That is how I was raised. So yeah, it's the tradition. It's the tradition. At that time, I couldn't even. I didn't even know that I was excluded. Not until my adult age, I realized that I was really excluded at that time, because when you are born into such family, nobody cares about you. So I'm just saying, what we are, encouraging parents these days, that that culture, that tradition is outdated. It's outdated.
Obviously,
We should be writing our wills and ensure that our properties will be equally shared among our children. That idea that only one child will inherit automatically, in some families there's no dispute, nobody will challenge the first son. Once the father joined his ancestors, the next thing is for the first son to take over everything. So we are
I don't support the idea that the first son should take everything. I don't. So that's cruel to the other children.
It's a reality. It's a reality.
No, it's not a reality. I don't think it's a reality. They shouldn't be taking, the first son should not exclusively take everything. No.
But I'm just saying that is the reality of things that we are exploring here right now. That is what is going on, or what is happening in our modern day. That some first son automatically, once their father joined. A few days ago, I spoke with someone who said, my father died. His house belongs to me. Now I'm the first son. I'm first on and I'm the first one. I'm going to say, he was repeating it over and over again. So,
Do you know that, Nepe, if I just quickly point this out, this has made a lot of elder sons to become lazy, not to work out for their life, not to want to achieve anything for themselves, just
That's
depending
true. That's
on
very true.
inheriting their parents' property and parents things that their parents work hard for. They want to inherit it. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to earn anything for themselves. It have made a lot of male children very lazy.
That's very true.
My take on this, if I may come in, my take on this is family unity is very important. And it's a shame that some family, because of material wealth, has caused division in the family. And it shouldn't be so. For parents who are alive, and Mr. Araka, please also take it to the main population. Let them know that family unity is the legacy a man will leave as a man. You understand what I mean?
These women, you guys did a trap to trap me here.
No. Fairness is fairness.
I'm just joking. Don't mind me.
It's okay for the eldest living son to inherit something, but let it be fair. Don't use that opportunity to abandon or close the door on your siblings. You know, just help each other. This is daddy's property. So give me a little so that I can start life with something. Don't just take everything and close the door on me and tell me to hell with you because you are a female. So, you know, legacy is only when family unity are intact, the love will increase, because if people who are chased out of their family home because of their preference, you know, or because they are a female, how would they feel? The deep-rooted hatred will be too much. And that's where people started to conjure each other and kill each other. At the end, there's no legacy. You know, we have so many people living right now in our state.
You know, Mrs. Miss Salami, there's a dynamic to this matter. I think we've forgotten. I don't know whether you discussed when my phone went off. You know, there's an uncle from myself, one Colonel Idausa. I think he lived in Benin in those days. He got married to many wives. You know, understand me. So the moment he died, the first wife, because they had the sons, the senior son, the oldest son was with the first wife. The moment the man died, he drove the other women away, the old children away, and occupied the man's property and took everything to herself and her children. The other ones were just left. Doesn't care whether what they are living. So could it be also possible that this idea of first son being that selfish and greedy could be influenced, or is it influenced by their mother, who perhaps in the case of multiple, or in the case of polygamy, could it be the mother that is encouraging this?
Yes. You are very correct, Mr. Karaka. It is influenced by their mother. That's exactly what I said earlier when Nekman mentioned the Oba Esigil was meant to be the Oba, and sometimes he is influenced by their parents, making the other child to become more dominant towards their siblings.
Because if I were to, like in the case of the example that Nekman said, that a first son had an accident, or he wasn't born crippled. It was an accident, and because of his condition, he was not made an Oba. I think such consideration is cruel, because it's a happenstance. It is a happenstance.
That has not made a lot of women to become wicked.
Yeah, it's terrible. If you're saying that a child born crippled cannot become the Oba, that's okay for me. I think it's understandable to some extent. And to me, because of my modern day reasoning, such ailment could even be classified. If the cripple is just one hand that is like this, but every other thing is functioning well, who says the packet can't be an Oba? And to say that somebody was involved in a minor accident, had some dislocate, I don't think so. This is what we are saying. There are dynamics to our way of living today, which our forefathers in building this custom didn't foresee them, or didn't even envisage that society will become this more complex. So our tradition only took care of the very simplistic way of living that we had then. Wasn't scientific enough to embrace the complex life or the complex dynamics we are facing today. I think that is what it is. So it is now left for you, female, who have the short end of the stick that our tradition has provided today, to begin to cry, so like in your book, Minekwe, you can now, you know, from this discussion, I'm sure you may have one or two things to write in your second series or something to add and tell, say, okay, hey, our tradition was this before, and this is our modern society. This is the new realities of our social existence today, and our tradition was not built enough to accommodate these changes in this. So we have to change this tradition to accommodate this dynamic. So I think that is what is left for you guys. But for me, as a firstborn, I'm not saying it because I'm on air. I don't have the idea that because my dad died and leaves a lot of things, so then I will have I will be thinking of taking everything for myself. I don't even think I have that feeling. But not every first son has this kind of feelings anyway.
Yes,
Well,
not every best. So first son exploiting or abusing this tradition. Honestly, they are doing that. Like what Mrs. Katie Salami said, a woman who happens to who had the first son in the family, ensure that he drove other children away when the man dies, and took over the property because she believes that the son is the first son, is supposed to inherit the property. So anyone can abuse that tradition because the tradition is there. What I'm saying right now is that we should do something to write our will and ensure that our will, because according to what that lawyer said in that video, the first video I played, that in the case whereby a will was not written by the parents, by the deceased parent, then the law of primogeniture, the African customary law, we have to strive.
Exactly.
So we have to strive.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something strange. There's a tradition here in Nigeria which I'm sure. Hello, can you hear me? Hello,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a tradition here that occurs in Nigeria concerning this topic, which I'm sure none of you have heard. There's a place in Adamawa State, and it's from the Numan people, the Bachama people. When the man dies, it is the brother, the first brother of the female, that inherits the property of the male. Now, those who designed this tradition foresaw that maybe the children are still too young and they needed a mature male to take care of this female while the husband is away. In today's existence now, people are now abusing it in such a way that the moment the man dies, they use, I don't believe in what is it? Black, how do you call black power charms? I don't believe in black magic, but it does happen. You see that the moment the man dies, the brothers of the female, of the brother of the wife, turns the children to become mad. There is a case in question whereby the man had 4 children, two boys and 2 girls. The 4 children are mad, and because they are insane, they can't handle the child. The man, and the man was even bragging about it. Say, yes, I had to turn them fucking mad. What is my right? It's my tradition. You understand? It's my right. It's my tradition. So we have made what is evil to become normal. There's another case again whereby the man had 7 children. Incidentally, they were all boys. So the moment the man dies, they quickly ran to the court and said, they are saying something. If any of them go mad, or any of them, if the neck is beginning to bend one kind, or is beginning to say something incoherent, that they are going to kill their brother. So the brother should just say now that nothing will happen to them. You get me? So these are terrible things that are like the other lady. Sorry, I didn't hold your name.
Yeah.
People are now lazy. People are now lazy and waiting for somebody to die to inherit something that they spent years to accumulate. So I really think that, yeah, I've not been engaged to really speak. Usually my area of specialization is politics, but I find it interesting that there are even topics like this that needs attention to talk to. So it's okay.
What's your specialty, Mr. Oraka? Mr. Oraka, what's your background? What's your specialty?
No. Who is asking the question?
Me. It's me, Mrs. Adogawe.
Okay. I am actually in terms of analysis like this, I'm a political analyst. I specialize in analyzing Nigerian politics, and I think a lot of people know that I'm very good at, particularly from the northern perspectives. I'm very good at that.
Yeah.
But by profession, which I was hoping to talk to the clinical social worker after the show. I am a consultant. I am actually working on a reality TV show that deals with young minds, youths who are willing to transform from their erring ways to exemplary behavior, and and subsequently we're trying to make them become employers of labor. So I was going to ask lady if her clinical social work involved that, so that we could work something out together.
All right, we'll discuss that through Nekmen.
Okay.
We'll discuss that through Nekmen. But I still have a few more things, if you guys don't mind to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So this topic, again, like I said, the preferences is really what I'm leaning on. And I'm just like Sister Mrs. Sedogia, where I said, parents, please write your will.
Yes.
A written will is legal. Okay, the verbal will is going to again take us back to the customary court, and the customary court, I'm sorry to say, nothing is perfect. The system, judiciary system in our country is not perfect. It's too corrupted. So please, parents.
Mrs. Katie Salami, this will thing, do you know that there are some societies that even in the presence of a will, they will still fight to the end that the will is secondary, that the tradition is superior to the will. Do you know that?
But the will will help.
But the Supreme Court right now, I mean, the awareness is right here, right now.
Yes.
That's back in the day.
Okay.
We've seen a lot of
the will is highly recognized in Nigeria these days.
Yes. So the verbal will be a problem where you will tell your uncle, so and so has belonged to that when you die again. That's where the issue will come in. So this is a great awareness, and I want to give it up to our sister Daisy Ehanire. Daisy Ehanire bought a property that belongs to the family. One of the brother that inherited the family sold it outside the family. Daisy went brought the property back to the family. Daisy, I salute you as a woman.
Yes.
I think the house is in Coste Road or somewhere around that area. Until they've elevated it to like 3-4 story, 5-story building. The house was officially sold, but Daisy felt this is an insult on her part, and she bought that property and brought it back to the family. So Daisy, again, I salute.
Yes, thank you, because she understands the culture. Yes. So I wanted to say this, since I was about to say the same thing, that this Gyogbe is so significant in the Benin culture that some houses that are considered as Gyogbe, people cannot buy it. I've seen so many cases whereby they said, this house, they buried the father, so I cannot buy it. I'm sorry. You understand? When the first son is trying to sell the house because of greedy or anything, so they rejected it. I've seen a lot. Any Benin person will even testify for this, because we have seen a lot in Benin, whereby some senior sons who are very lazy or greedy are planning to sell the Gyogbe. And a traditional Benin man will not buy Gyogbe from you. We not buy Gyogbe from you. You understand? It's very difficult to sell that Gyogbe in Benin. That is how much this.
Sometimes, Miss Nekmen, a lot of the others don't buy. They don't actually tell the buyer that the house is actually Gyogbe.
No, there's some people used to do their research around the house. You know, you cannot just pay for the house without do your research. I've seen so many. That person will go to the house. I've seen a lot. Will say, oh, this has they buried. Even neighbors in that neighborhood will go do some investigation.
We'll tell them.
This house, they buried the mother. But this is their family house, so be careful. You understand? Nobody, you don't want to go buy any house whereby tomorrow you see grave coming out. But grave coming out. You don't want to do that. You want this is what happened in Benin. I'm saying right now. You understand? So I'm just referencing things that happen in Benin. So in most cases, any typical Benin person will do investigation before buying any Gyogbe. You will even know. You see the building, whole buildings in Benin. One person will tell you, one senior son say, come and buy. I won't buy. And many people
It's
have
just that
rejected
like Tis Salami said, the one that the lady bought back now, somebody must have bought it before with knowing that that house was actually Igbo. Somebody bought it. He probably did his or our own research before he paid for the house, and probably didn't know that the house was Igbo before the lady now went back and buy the house back.
Yeah. So
it does happen. You are right, Nepe. People should do research, and you shouldn't be buying people's Igbo.
And Igiogbe, most Igiogbe, when you explore the rooms, you will see the grave.
Yep.
You will see the grave, yes. And that is the first thing that will scare any buyer away, that grave. Because the grave will be just there in the master's room. You understand? So we have it in Benin. I was raised in a family house in Benin. We have it. You understand? So that family has nobody with you can't buy it. The grave is just there in the master's room, open, big. You just say it. So that is the thing. That Igiogbe thing is very significant in our culture. So what we are saying right now, before we close to this program, is that we are telling modern day parents to write their wills. In case of this idea, you don't know what will happen today. You can just be walking in the street and fall down, died. So if you don't have any will, definitely this law of primogeniture will strive. That is what this guy said. I just hope I can bring this man to this program so that he explains to us. That is what he said. He said if there's no will, okay, the court will build on that customary law. The customary law, that is the law of primogeniture, the culture. So the first son, we have to come and take possession of the property. Depend on the family background. You understand? Depend on the family. If, for instance, the man has many wives, many gates before he died, then it can also lead to conflicts and confusion. Big one. We have seen that, and he quoted it, Ogiame versus Ogiame, Egareva versus the other one. So he mentioned so many cases like that. So that is why, to avoid, they said, to protect the future, we have to nurture the present. So we should do something as soon as possible, especially those of us who are accumulating many wells these days. Wet, too much wet. We are accumulating. Even females, this is not about the man anymore. You know, those days we look at the father. You know, the wealth of the father, the properties of the father. But these days it's not like that anymore. Females are even accumulating more than some men these days. In Benin Kingdom, I'm using Benin as an example. So we should do something. So that
there's nothing wrong accumulating wealth. What is wrong is someone that is no longer entitled to a little piece of a father remembrance. You know what I mean? So I think that's the issue, is the absolute, where one person will have the traditional privilege to take care of to just take everything that belongs to a father. That's where my thing is all about. If that person can share, that's fairness. You know, just share. Don't take everything and ask the other person.
From a male perspective, there's a question that keeps bugging my mind. If I were to be a stinking rich man, you know, like if I were to be a stinking rich man, when I go marrying a second wife and having children with the second wife, a third wife, having children with the third wife, and I have children everywhere, and then I'm making wealth.
Yes.
These men that are engaged in these sexual exercise or marital exercises, does it not occur to them that as you are living, because when you are alive, in everybody's faces, you wouldn't even see there's going to be a problem. Everybody will be acting and pretending it's all well. Does it not occur to them that as soon as you die, there's going to be chaos in the family? You see things.
I don't think it occurs to them.
I've seen a man who died and leave assets and as soon as he dies, I have one. I won't, for respect to the family, I won't mention the name. The man has hotel, houses, companies, and as soon as he died, you know, the children just start messing things up. This one is fighting. He has to, you know, at the end of the day, everything the man labored to build in this town there's nothing about it again. Everything is gone. So, so when you're advising the parents, you should also advise them of their escapades. When this thing is you whatever you are looking for outside, your wife can give it to you outside. Or better still, if I'm going to have an extramarital affairs, I want to just give those with their own property and leave my wife and my children to have this. No, we Africans, like I told you, the topic we are discussing today has many branches to it. It is inexhaustible. There's no we can even exhaust it today. You understand me? So if we're going to advise parents, the men that are marrying wife and building wife, don't you know that when you die, your property will become a problem? Have you seen fights for property when the man dies? Have you seen it? Have you seen? Look, my sister, I've seen women holding knife, children, brothers and sisters that live together as brothers and sisters, holding knife. The children of one wife will be fighting the children of another wife, fighting with knife as if it's war.
Mr. Uraka, majority of us are not accumulating just wealth. We are accumulating a lot of properties. How many houses? If you ask an average Benin woman today, how many houses do you have in Benin? She will even tell you that, oh, I'm building my third house. Okay. So that's
but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes,
because they don't have it.
Yes,
so there's nothing wrong with that.
It's good. Yeah, it's a good thing. We have to avoid these our properties that we are working so hard, you understand, to accumulate. We have to ensure that we divide it, share it among our children peacefully. Now, not after everything, they will be fighting, destroying the houses, doing all kinds of things because of this conflict. That is what I'm saying. We have to protect the future of our children with our properties.
Before we end the program, please, let me also throw in one or two things that I'm really privileged today to say. Again, regarding the harmful practices. I want the women advocacy group, because now it's a challenge for the women advocacy group. There are harmful practices in our tradition. One, when a man dies, they wash the body and give the water to the wife to drink. I don't know the significance of that back in the day, where if the woman has anything to do with the man's death, but now people are practicing it just to punish the woman. That thing need an awareness, please. And then again, thank God that the foreign country have forced the African country to get rid of the female circumcision, because the negative connotation of the female circumcision, I don't know about you guys, I was circumcised, it's not the same. And then another practices where a man died, the first son will not start sleeping with your own father's wife. You know what is that? So
that's
in some culture, I don't know about Benin. Because in some culture it's still being practiced. I meet a lot of women on women issues, and these are the things that come up.
It's still being practiced. It's still being practiced till today.
It's very common in
tell you what, it's not fair. It's very detrimental for the future of those women children. It's very detrimental.
Hold on. The idea was that, or the idea is that, well, the father was married to, let's say, 5 wives, and now he's dead. There are some young women with young children, you get me? Rather than the wife to become promiscuous, sleeping with different men in the village, it is only better that the first son inherits, they share the wives to the son, so that whatever promiscuity that is taken out will... I told you that these traditions were evolved because of the peculiarities of the variables available to them that time. You understand me? Now, the direct beneficiaries of whether it is evil, whether it is okay, are not wanting to let this thing go, because let's see, for somebody with a high sexual libido, maybe, I don't know, for me, it's evil because I can't even begin to see myself, sleeping with a woman that I know my father has slept with. Makes no
But
sense to my
it
psychology.
was normalized. It was normalized at that time. It was the tradition
But
at that
it
time.
is still happening till today. It is still happening fresh today, in case you don't know. It is still happening, and it will happen tomorrow.
In the 90s, I still remember clearly one man in our village. He was called what do they call it? Ojefia and Robo Man. So the brother joined his ancestors. So the son, the wife, the youngest wife, he inherited the youngest wife. And the wife came, staying with them, and that woman had a child for him again. Had a child for
it's common. It's what I've seen.
Really?
It is common.
Yes,
you are young. I have never seen anything like this.
Oh, I saw it.
Till today, it's still happening.
Wow.
Till you said in the 90s. You said in the 90s. It is still happening
It's still
today, and it will still happen
practicing.
tomorrow. Till today, in fact, the one I
have never seen anything like this.
The one I solved we sat down to solve in my village was when when was it, Seth? I think about 3 or 4 years ago. This one is not even many wives. One of our brothers, the wife died, and the husband died, and then it was the wife who came to say that they should share her to one of the brothers in the family.
Yeah, that's what happened. Exactly. Ojefia brought that woman to the village, and this woman had a child before I left at that time. Yeah, I had a child for Ojefia, and inherited this woman from the senior brother who dies. So it's just the tradition. It's very common among the Yoruba people. Very, very common at that time.
Very true. Very true. Very
because
true.
My mom was an Yoruba.
To me,
is it sister? I know Mrs. Sorry, I know Mrs. Salami said something similar earlier. Is it the same in Benin culture as well? Are people practicing in Benin?
No, I'm not.
Is it practicable in Benin? Yeah. It's like those states, not Benin people, but some people in some Asian places, they still practice.
Yeah, but I'm not.
But when you look at it, though, it all boils down to poverty mentality. Because a woman that has her own, I don't think
No, it was a tradition at that time that when
they're still practicing it now. Still practicing it now.
I just want to build on the tradition at that time. The justification for that tradition was that once a woman is married to a man, she belongs to the property of the man and the family. That was actually the belief system
that was back
at
in
that
the
time. So whenever the man dies, so the woman remains the property of that family, so they can share her among themselves. That was the
absolutely. That's the truth. That's right. That was the mentality. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but things are changing.
Oh my goodness, that makes me so sick.
Yeah, things are changing, and thank God that things are changing. So I really want to appreciate everyone today. Thank you for the opportunity, because I have things in my heart that I really wanted to express, and I'm able to express it. So I'm very grateful, Nekme.
Yeah,
we love you.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you very much, Nekme. Thank you for having me. It was lovely to see Mr. Raka.
So anytime they share, I would like them to share Miss Nekme to me.
Unfortunately, I live here in Canada. That tradition is still existing here in Canada. Sorry.
It's okay. It's been fun.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Right.
So we'll come back next time again.